Okay, so we've talked about keydowns, we talked about keydown monitors, we've initiated everything twice, and now we've got to the point where we have some data in our arrays and we want to do something with that data. So now we want to prepare coordinates. Now I want to hold my hands up. There's probably some bad practice happening here. I am just simply not good enough a coder to see what could be made better. I do know this works, but I can imagine there's a lot of people just shaking their heads right now looking at this thinking, why is he doing this? Doesn't make sense. It's just wet code. But it works, so bear with me. So what do we have here? We have some joining of strings. So basically this local variable takes the information in this array and it joins it into a string, brings them all together into one piece of string, just kind of text. So it does that for heading, does that for distance. So these then hold string. Then we create two more local variables and we take we apply a command pass number on the string that we've taken here. So we take the string, we turn it into a number, and we put that number in this local variable. Then we take these two local variables and we send them as arguments into this execute script, which is the last stage, well actually penultimate stage. I can kind of already see how this could be made better, and we could probably combine these two last steps into one step, but I'm kind of just compartmentalizing the process, probably for my own benefit more than anything else, just to kind of help me understand how this all works. So we've got a heading and distance strings. We're joining them together into one string, because remember before they were separate pushes into arrays, so we're bringing them all together, and then we're turning them into numbers, because if you throw strings into a command that you want to use to say get a location or something, it's going to throw an error because it can't deal with string. It needs a number. That's why we're passing the number. So now we've got two numbers, one number for the heading, one number for the distance, and we are sending that along this journey to the execute file, which is this. Bye bye. Right, so again, there's probably a lot that I can improve here, but it does kind of work. So what we've got here, these top two lines are managing the information that has been passed this way from that. So we've sent through this array, we've sent through two values, two local variables which are now numbers, send two numbers along with this call to this script. And what we're saying is the first element of that array, we're going to call it that. So that is that. That's index 0, that's index 1. Index 0 is that, index 1 is that. Okay, then what we do is we shut down all of our event handlers. I'm going to come back to that, that's our last step. Then we've got some debuggy type stuff, and then we have a function. The function is call, so rgg call VACF, and we call it down here, and we call it, and we bring along for the journey these two local variables, which are effectively these things here. Like I said, there's probably better ways I can do this. So we have a function that we're calling with these arguments, and then the function has a local variable, and really this is what it comes down to. All of this is a way for me to use voice to get this line of code. Seems kind of crazy. So what we have is a result where we have the player get position based on the player with these two arguments, the distance and the heading. And if you go to get pos command, that's what it comes down to. Find a position 100 meters and 45 degrees from player position. Okay, that's what we're doing here. Player get pos 145, distance heading. So now I'm starting to think, shit, there's got to be an easy way to do this. But it works. So we've got our result in this local variable, and then because I need the variable on the screen, I'm just system chatting it, system chat string that, and I'm pinging it out there I'm going to do it every 12 seconds because I need it on the screen for me to do the second part, which is the actual calling in of the artillery. So it's useful to have that on the screen. Eventually, if I have the time, I'm going to make some kind of a display so it kind of sits on the screen in a nicer way, get rid of all of the system chat stuff. So at the end of all this, we then get to the end and then we initialize VACF again. We start from the beginning. So the last thing that we didn't talk about, and is crucially important, and is what has given me huge amounts of headache, is this, the clear keydowns. It's just what I'm calling it. It's probably a better way to name it, but what this does, it does this stuff. Probably I can remove these. So remember before I mentioned that if you don't manage your keydown event handlers properly, they don't go away. They stick around, they cause you problems. So you start to see doubles and triples and quadruples of your actions, which is hugely frustrating and is unplayable. So the way I've managed this is to create a local bucket where I find this display 46, I remove the event handler, type of the key down with this global variable. And if you remember, these are the globals that I'm creating initially for the display add event handlers, and I'm using those same global variables as my references to switch them off or to remove them completely. And finally, at the end of this is a one-off script. At the end of it, I just simply turn off where are we? That, which is that. So at the end of the clear keydown script, I've shut down all of my event handlers, and I'm also shutting down all of the listening that the numerical input pool takes care of, and then some system chat to say things are shut down. Yeah, and that's it. That is the system overall that I've been using to effectively manage the automation of key presses using VoiceAttack to do things like get locations or to blow shit up. So yeah, it's kind of quite addictive. and I finally seem to be making some progress, which is nice. But the reason I wanted to do this, two reasons really. It was to try and share some of this with anyone who's vaguely interested in doing anything like this, and if you are interested, I'd love to see anything that you're working on that is using the same kind of system, because I find this stuff really interesting. The whole kind of immersive feeling of just sort of playing a game and watching and talking, even if it's single player, it makes the game better for me. But the other thing, like I said before, the reason I'm doing this is so I don't forget how I did this, because in 6 months' time I'll probably look at this script and think, what the hell was I trying to do here? So yeah, hopefully that's useful. Yeah, any questions, just reach out. I'll try and help. Yeah, and have some fun with it.